James Bond collectibles are hot, and it's fun to have a few. Here are a few of the favorites that we have. Hi, this is Dan Silvestri of SpyMovieNavigator.com. While Tom Pizzato is traveling at the time of this recording, I'm here solo, cracking the code of spy movies on some James Bond collectibles that are in our vault. Think about owning a cool James Bond movie replica, or a prop manufactured for the movie that may or may not have made it into the film, or an actual screen-used prop. These are all fun to collect, so let's take a look. If you've listened to other podcasts of ours, you know that I'm into collectibles, especially autographs. But I have things from ancient Rome, from NASA, the U.S. space program collectibles, and more. So, naturally, I have some spy movie collectibles, especially Bond. Let's take a look. Let's start with autographs. Sean Connery, one of my top favorite Bonds, is certainly an area of interest. So, I have a signed publicity still of Sean Connery as James Bond in From Russia with Love in the train car. This is very cool. And I actually framed it myself and found a small, inexpensive digital recorder and speaker kit. I don't even know if they make them anymore. And attached the kit to the rear of the frame. It takes 4 AA batteries. And there's a play button, and I attached that to the side of the frame. When you press the button on my Sean Connery signed and framed photograph, it is Sean Connery as Bond saying, "A martini, shaken, not stirred," with the James Bond theme music playing in the background. This is fun. So there's my first autograph. I also have a Pierce Brosnan signed photograph, and just recently bought a George Lazenby signed photograph from Anders Frade. This last one was from the 50th anniversary tour for On Her Majesty's Secret Service and one of my all-time favorite Bond films. So thrilled to have 3 James Bond autographs. I'm going to try to collect all of them. Got to get Craig and Timothy Dalton and Roger Moore, and who will be the next Bond? Who knows? My favorite Felix Leiter, before Jeffrey Wright, is David Hedison. I say before Wright because I probably like them both equally. So, I have purchased a David Hedison signed check. This is very cool. This item was purchased at auction and had a PSA/DNA pre-certified status, meaning that it was reviewed by experts at PSA DNA and is guaranteed to pass final testing and marking. And bank checks are great because they tell a story in themselves. This one is made out to the Beverly Hills postmaster for $15 on October 25th, 1968 for stamps. So there you go. I got a cool David Hedison check in my hand right now, looking at it. One of my favorite autographs is Caroline Munro's. Of course, she played Naomi in The Spy Who Loved Me, Stromberg's assistant, who comes to collect Bond and X posing as Mr. and Mrs. Sterling in Sardinia, Italy, and is later the helicopter pilot chasing Bond driving the Lotus when he drives it off the pier and into the water. And when he shoots her with a missile, she's the first woman Bond kills on screen. We've been to all the locations in Sardinia where they filmed The Spy Who Loved Me. And Tom and I met with Caroline Munro in London once for a few hours. She is a delight. She signed a bunch of autographs for us. We took pictures with her. She was wonderful to speak with, just a wonderful woman. And she wrote a little note to us that we didn't even know was going to be in our little packet of info. And the one she wrote to me was, "Dear Dan, it's so lovely to meet with you. Your knowledge of Bond is amazing. Thank you so much for the lovely afternoon. All my best wishes, Caroline Munro as Naomi 007. How lovely indeed. That was a fabulous moment. All right, let's talk about some other things and props. I would love to own some screen-used props from the Bond movies. These are hard to come by, and they're very expensive. I know a guy who has one of the spear guns from Thunderballs. So I have some stuff, which is pretty neat and made for the films, and some of them may be on screen. So, for instance, right here in my hand right now, I have a $100 bill, of course it's not a real one, from License to Kill. You remember the shot where Bond hijacks Sanchez's drug delivery plane and then Bond cuts open the packets of money, and the bills are flying all over the place. I have one of those bills. This one looks pretty good from a distance, and so it could look like a $100 bill. And it does say on the upper left, this is not valid. It is for use in motion pictures only and is non-negotiable. Its use for any other purpose will be in violation of the law. Its provenance, that's the history of ownership of the bill or the object, is that the bill was originally obtained at the shooting location in Key West, Florida, Sugarloaf Key, at the airport office from the airport manager who was keeping a bunch of these as a collectible from the film, because there were hundreds of these things flying all over the place during that scene. So this is pretty cool. Here it is in front of me. Nice. I love it. I also own a $100 bill from the Pierce Brosnan film, Tomorrow Never Dies. This is a very, very cool one. When Bond breaks into the safe, there are a few piles of bills stacked on the left side of the safe. This one I have looks like a real $100 bill. It looks pretty good. Except it has printed in the upper right-hand corner for motion picture use only. And if you notice in this scene in the film, the bills are stacked in piles strategically to cover the upper right corner of the bills. So this one is really cool. So maybe it's somewhere in those stacks. And it was originally obtained from Pinewood Studios. So this is a pretty cool thing to have. And again, looking at that right in my hand, back and front are printed. It looks pretty authentic. And I have a photo in my hand of the piles in the safe. So when you're watching Tomorrow Never Dies and he opens the safe, you'll see these piles of bills in there. And mine might be one of these in these stacks. So that's pretty neat. Well, this is a neat item. In the beginning of License to Kill, the title sequence shows a casino table, a roulette table to be specific, and there are chips all over the table. Gambling chips. I have 2 clay chips, a green $25 chip, and a purplish $100 chip in my hands here. Nice, solid clay chips. Again, there are piles of chips all over the table in the title sequence. And others that are made for the movie may be on the table, and maybe mine aren't the ones shown on screen, or maybe mine are in piles. But there certainly are $25 and $100 chips on the table. And they're marked Casino de Isthmus and have the top hat and cane indented patterns along the edges, which were the ones made for the movie. There are other knockoff chips that don't have the indented cane and top hat. And my contact here, where I got these from, says these chips can be seen in the opening title sequence of the film. So this may be part of the overall collection of chips on the table. But again, this is pretty neat to have, and I'm holding them in my hand right now. So again, really fun to have. From Octopussy, I have a 100 rupee paper money prop issued from the fictitious Reserve Bank of Indapur. The seller claims it was used in the film scene where Bond and Kamal Khan are playing backgammon, and Bond wins 200,000 rupees. Khan starts writing a check, if you remember, and Bond says, "I prefer cash." So this is a very neat-looking bill in full color with a 100 rupee stamp, Reserve Bank of Indapur. It's got a serial number and everything. Again, a fun little item to have. I love taking a look at this thing. Once in a while, I just pull this stuff out and look at this and think, this is kind of cool. And this could be right in the film. Neat. And from Casino Royale, I have 4 playing cards that were made for the movie, probably nowhere on screen. And they have the Casino Royale logo on the backside twice, and the crown logo. And I also have a $500 chip with Casino Royale around the center, written around the center of the chip. And the crown pattern all along the edges. So, again, pretty neat little item. These were probably overruns and never used in the actual film, or who knows, they could be in the background somewhere, or maybe in the card shoe, or somewhere. But definitely fun to have. Let's move on to books. I have one weird book that is apparently a collectible. A friend found it in a used bookshop, and it's a hardcover about 5.5 inches by 7.25 inches and is entitled The Book of Bond, or Every Man His Own 007. And it's written as though it was written by Lieutenant Colonel William Bill Tanner, M's assistant, who authored the book. It is written by him, a fictional character. It's a Viking Press book from 1965, and on the inside cover flap, it's priced at $2.50 US. The book is broken up into chapters entitled things like Drink, Looks, Smokes, etc. And in the margins, to validate what is written, are the initials of the title of the relevant Bond story that this section kind of came from, like FRWL, From Russia with Love, along with a number indicating the relevant chapter. So it's kind of neat. And he does something similar for the short story collections. And it really is about you becoming 007 or like 007. And here's the things you're going to drink. Here's how you're going to look. Here's what you're going to smoke. And it is all about you becoming 007 in all of these chapters. And it's more amusing than serious, obviously, for sure. This is actually written by Kingsley Amis, who wrote three books, including the James Bond dossier and the first Bond continuation novel, Colonel's Son, which was written under the pen name Robert Markham. So actually, the James Bond dossier is the only one where he used his real name. Thanks to my friends on Facebook, Nick, Oliver, and Daryl, for this insight. Very odd indeed, but a neat little book to have. If anybody knows more about the book, email me at dan@SpyMovieNavigator.com. I know in one version of the book, the cover reverses, and then the opposite side, it says the Bible, in case maybe you wanted to read this clandestinely on a train or somewhere in public. My version, the cover does not reverse, and there's nothing printed on the opposite side. But even in the used bookstore, this was priced at $40, so it's kind of cool. Now let's talk about replicas. If you remember in Casino Royale, the 2006 Ian Productions version, of course, when Alex Demetrius is playing poker and Bond joins in at the Ocean Club, Demetrius wants to up the stakes of the game, and he throws in a key ring with an Aston Martin DB5 and car key as part of the pot. Well, I purchased the same kind of DB5 key ring along with the Lotus Esprit key ring, which you remember the Lotus Esprit and the Spy Who Loved Me that turns into a submersible. These are really fun, cool objects, and they're available with a lot of other reproductions and collectible items at 007.com and at their U.S. counterpart, usa.007store.com. Tell them Spy Movie Navigator sent you. They have a lot of 007 collectibles and are awesome to work with. There are also other prop shops and online stores to purchase real movie props and additional replicas. We will get you more information on these on our website. Tons of fun stuff on the 007.com site, though, so check that out. Well, this concludes our quick look at some of the James Bond memorabilia that we have. Remember, there are lots of places online to purchase movie memorabilia. We have a place near us in Chicago, which we're going to go visit, and the guy has tons of movie memorabilia, including spy movie stuff. So look for that podcast soon, and we might even do a video of his shop as well. This has been Dan Silvestri of SpyMovieNavigator.com and Tom Pizzato, who's still on vacation even after this recording. If you like this Cracking the Code of Spy Movie show, check out our YouTube channel. We plan on shooting a video of the items for your viewing pleasure. Have fun collecting. Always ask about the provenance, the history of ownership of the item, and have a great time. Please tell your friends about our podcast and give us a 5-star rating. Thanks.